Hello and welcome back to the TVBinges.com Pilot Roundtable, a Southgate Media Group podcast. I'm Kyle Tremblay, the editor of TVBinges.com, and I am joined as always by a fellow TV Binges writer. She's a successful lawyer who's harboring a dark secret. It's Olivia Richards. Hello.
Dun dun dun. Can't be revealed this episode.
Yes, well, we'll slowly unveil the clues as the episode persists.
Up to it.
So today we are talking about NBC's new drama, Game of Silence. Olivia, what did you think?
Unfortunately, it's less fun than Game of Thrones, and that's a pretty dark show already.
Yeah.
This one's somehow darker and less happens. So if you like things that are very heavy and nothing happens, then this show is definitely for you.
Yeah, I think the deep dark secret is that this show isn't very good. This is the premise, at least the very first part of the premise, because there's no way we're going to get into the details. But it's a show that stars David Lyons, Michael Raymond James, Lars Tatewell, and Brie Blair. They're childhood friends who, as we see in a very, very early flashback, crashed their car into a woman. It's a real, like, sort of I Know What You Did Last Summer setup, except then it proceeds to have just none of the fun of I Know What You Did Last Summer. I mean, I can't even stress how little fun this show has. I mean, whatever you think the least fun show on TV is, listeners, this is less fun than that. Like, it could not possibly be having less fun. Anyway, that event took place in the past, and it led to the boys doing some time in jail, where they had, as we are treated to, horrible experiences. And
an understatement.
Oh gosh! And then the present day, there's some business that goes on that honestly was so complicated and convoluted that I genuinely could not follow it. Like, if you put a gun to my head and told me to explain the plot of this show, I could not do it. I just couldn't.
No, and it's like, I mean, I read it was adapted from Turkish drama miniseries, and that should give you enough of a description of what the show was going to be. And then a lot of people were actually comparing it to the 90s movie Sleepers, which I also have never seen, but based on this pilot alone, I can draw a parallel between that title and this show.
There's no way. I didn't see Sleepers either. There's no way it was this bad. There's just no way. Like, this is one of those where, this reminds me of the show that I always forget its name, and I guarantee I'm going to forget this show's name. It was the Americans ripoff that NBC did.
Every single reference that we make, neither of us remember the title.
Right. I've referenced it on like 5 podcasts, but I've never once remembered the title. And I want to say
American Odyssey?
Literally, you just said what I was going to say, but that's not it. I was about to say it's not American Odyssey, even though I want it to be. But no, it was a different show. It didn't have American in the title because that would have been too obvious, because the premise was literally the Americans, right down to the fact that they were from Russia. But it reminds me of that where it was like, as the pilot goes on, my overwhelming sense, like, all that I was thinking about is, like, okay, I have a lot of respect for people who work in the TV industry, and I'm sure that a lot of talented people worked on this show, and honestly, like, the cast is just fine, the production values are just fine. I just wonder if at any point someone who had creative power stopped and asked someone, who's going to watch this? Like, who are we making this show for? Because for the life of me, why? Like, why would a single person in the world watch a show like this? Which is, like, it's both dumb, and there's nothing about it that is, like, prestigious, but it also, like, as you were saying, way overdoes it on the darkness, and so you get this, like, really toxic combination of like not very good or sort of middling quality wise, but then also like over the top, shockingly dark. And there's just like, who does that appeal to? Like, who wants to watch this show? For the life of me, I can't think of a single person I know who would ever have any interest in this show after watching like 5 minutes of it.
And that's the thing. I mean, I was watching it, and I feel like it was one of those situations where they were trying to push the envelope for the sake of pushing the envelope, you know, as in terms of like, okay, so it's a network series, and it had the feel of something that you would watch on, you know, like HBO or Showtime or, you know, like a non-cable series like that. But I can't imagine sitting down and watching this just on my own, just like following it through 13 or whatever episodes, you know, per season. It just, holy, yeah.
Like, how could, like, I always think about it, like, how could you tweet about this show? Like, what are you gonna joke about the scene where the kid gets hit with a belt by the corrupt prison guard? Are you gonna joke about the prison riot? Are you gonna joke about the woman getting hit by the car? Or are you gonna joke about some of the other like 10 worst things that happened this episode? The dude dying? Like, it's just like, I don't know, like, it doesn't have the ambition of something like American Crime, where it's like trying to like a show like American Crime, which has really come into its own this season, as I understand it. Like, clearly is a show that has something to say and is using the medium and as like a way to express what it has to say. And in that case, the sort of dark as night tone makes sense because it's a very serious show intentionally. A show like this has nothing to say. This show isn't making any points. It's not a commentary on our prison system. It's just using the prison stuff as a dumb way to drive its plot. Like, there's no commentary here. And so if that's going to be the case, why make it black as night? Like, why is the tone so dark? Why is everything so dark? Like, it doesn't make any sense at all. And again, like, if you're going to have this, like, there's a deep dark secret that the people are trying to hide, then at least have some fun with it. You know, like, at least have it be like a horror, yeah, I Know What You Did Last Summer kind of knockoff, where, you know, they're being like, at first I didn't know anything about this going in. At first I thought it was going to be that someone was like slowly killing them one by one, but that's not the case. It's much more like indirect and complicated than that. Like, there's a scene that I wanted to call out late in this pilot with about like 7 minutes left, where right after the dude dies, where our main character takes someone aside and does like a 5-minute monologue explaining this insane conspiracy theory that he's sussed out that we had like no previous exposure to, which is like, oh, I guess that's the whole plot that he just said in one monologue. It was like, it was so bad and sloppy that I just, at points I couldn't even believe it.
No, I completely agree. And I don't know about you, but I don't know any of the characters' names on the show.
God, no.
And I think that's insanely problematic because when you have a show that's so driven by the trauma that these characters are facing and by the fact that they're trying to reveal this dark secret, you should probably be invested enough in the characters that you actually know what their names are.
Yes. And the fact that they repeatedly said each other's names in this pilot, and I didn't pick them up either. Like, it just went out in one ear, out the other. None of them have, like, I mean, they're all just like cardboard cutouts. You know, there's like the lawyer who's trying to move past it, but still has, you know, harboring the dark secret. And then there's the sort of rough around the edges guy and his friend, and they're both harboring the dark secret. Like, it's just like, oh, that they didn't take a single risk. And I'm sure they would say that they took risks, like portraying like the violence that they did on like the prison scenes and all that. But that's not like, that's nothing. Like, that's, if you don't have a point behind that, then that's like that stupid Fox Kevin Bacon show, The Following, where it's like,
oh, yeah.
Like extreme violence without any meaning is actually like the least risky thing you can do on TV. Like, that's the most pandering to your audience you can do. Like, what would have been risky is for them to have a character who had an actual like beating heart. Like, it would have been interesting for them to have a character who felt alive or who was different than a cardboard cutout. Like, that's what would have been like risk taking with this. But instead, it's like right down the middle, you know, just a damp, rainy, kind of soggy show that just feels like dead on arrival, basically.
I think you just hit the nail on the head. And just watching it, it was the entertainment equivalent of sitting through a rainstorm.
Yes. Yeah, it just felt like it was raining as I was watching it, even though it wasn't. Just like bad weather pilot. So this one previewed after The Voice on Monday and did a very respectable 1.4 rating in the demo with 6.4 million viewers, but then it premiered officially on Thursday night and did a 0.8 in the demo with 3.9 million viewers. Oh, almost lost half the audience. Oh, that's gotta sting. 0.8, not great for your premiere. Yeah, that's an oof. That's an oof. So, Olivia, do you think this one's going to be canceled quickly, make it through the season, or renewed for next season?
And I forget about this one. Is this one supposed to function as like a mini series, or is it actually supposed to continue? That's like my knowledge of the show so far.
I have no idea
whether it's supposed to be, because I feel like once this wraps its season, if it makes it through the season, or if it's even supposed to continue, like what else is there to tell?
Yeah. I gotta be honest.
Really, like realistically, if this is supposed to go like multiple seasons, there's no need to continue it into a second. And I would have a feeling that it would be canceled after the first season.
I gotta be honest. If this, because I have no idea either. If this turns out to be a 4-episode miniseries, I still think it's gonna be canceled quickly. I don't think it's gonna get through 4. Like, this show is terrible. Like, I need to, like, stress that. Like, we do a lot of, like, boring bad shows. This is a terrible show. And is just, like, joyless. Like a pilot like Rush Hour, which was very dumb, is so much more watchable than a show like this one. Like, I would watch 8 hours of Rush Hour before I watch another hour of this show.
Absolutely agreed.
Yeah, so this is just worthless. I'm going to say cancel quickly. I don't care how long the season is. They cannot. NBC cannot air this show much longer. I'm like on the verge of figuring out what that show that Americans ripoff was called, and I just can't get it. It's bothering me.
We're gonna figure this out one day. It's gonna be amazing when that happens.
I always do figure it out, and then I forget it. It never sticks with me. And I'm sure no one else. Like, Allegiance! It's called Allegiance!
Is that it?
Yeah, Allegiance is the name of the show.
I would never have guessed that.
Yeah, so Allegiance is the show. I'm looking forward to forgetting it 3 pilots from now when we reference it again. But anyway, this is like Allegiance, but like somehow darker. Anyway, so Olivia, your final verdict. Thumbs up or thumbs down on Game of Silence?
I mean, the title says it all. It's just 2 thumbs down. Just a total...
It's actually fitting.
Total thumbs down.
It's fitting that you brought up American Odyssey, because that was a show that we rightly panned at the time for like just shoehorning American into the title as a way to like try to lure viewers. Like, hey, don't you want to watch a show about an American? And this is like what are the odds? What are the chances that if Game of Thrones didn't exist, this show would be titled Game of Silence? Like, it's like 0. Like, there's no chance. Of course, they're like ripping off the name directly. So anyway, that's always a bad sign when you're sort of pandering that way. Yeah, this is a huge thumbs down for me as well. So you've been listening to the Pilot Roundtable at tvbinges.com and Southgate Media Group production. You can listen to all of our episodes on iTunes, where you can rate and review us. We'd appreciate that. Or find us at southgatemediagroup.com. Follow Olivia on Twitter at RichardsOlivia, and me on Twitter at KyleLovesTV. Until next time.